Hello everyone. Today we are going to be learning a process for collecting and organizing facts from reports or expository texts. Reports give us facts about real people, real places, and real things. So today we're going to be reading a story that gives us real facts about a certain topic. And the topic of this writing is called the subject. The subject names the person, the place, the thing, animal, or the thing, object that the whole report is giving us facts about. So the process begins with identifying the subject. So we need to figure out what is the subject of this report. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to skim the report. So skimming just means to read over really quickly. We're going to skim the report and just look for that naming word that's mentioned the most often. So we're going to take our two fingers and we're just going to skim the report, and we're going to look for which naming word is mentioned the most. So we need to skim the report and look for the naming word that's most often repeated. So that's what we're going to do every time we come across a report that we need to find the subject. We need to skim the report and look for the naming word or phrase that's most often repeated. So we're going to look through this report. Does anybody notice which naming word may be repeated the most often? Yes, I agree. It looks like the Liberty Bell. So we need to prove it though. We're going to circle every time we see that naming word or a replacement namer. So I see right here in the first sentence we have the Liberty Bell. It's a very famous bell that is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This bell is made of bronze and has been a symbol of freedom for hundreds of years. The original Liberty Bell, so we're going to circle this one again, was made in 1752 in London. This bell, traveled to Pennsylvania to hang outside of the State House. During a practice ring, the bell cracked. People decided to remake the bell, so they melted the old one and formed a new bell from the same metal. The Liberty Bell was rung at many important events. I see that replacement namer, was rung at funerals and elections of presidents. The new bell cracked in 1835 during the funeral of John Marshall, a member of the Supreme Court. Even though people were upset about the crack, it has made the bell even more famous. People travel from all over the United States to see this important piece of history. So we just identified the subject of this report. So the subject is the Liberty Bell. So I'm going to write that on our subject line up here. Okay, but now that we have identified our subject, we need to read to prove. So you told me that there were some things that we might read, that we might come across when we read a report about a thing. So you told me that we might find information such as the definition, its origin, what it looks like, what its uses are, how it's produced, and even some facts about it that just might mean that it's something special about the subject. So we are going to start reading and labeling the facts that we find in the article, in this report. The Liberty Bell is a very famous bell that is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Is that a fact? Yes, it is. So we're going to underline that fact. And it tells us that it's a very famous bell that's located in Pennsylvania. So we are going to say this is the famous bell as a definition, and then where it's located, that's part of the origin, so we're going to label it with an O. This bell is made of bronze and has been a symbol of freedom for hundreds of years. So that's how it's produced and also what it looks like. So we can say produced and looks like, for that it's made of bronze. And has been a symbol of freedom for hundreds of years. I would say that's part of the definition for the Liberty Bell. So we're gonna put a D at the top of this fact. Let's do one more fact before we move on today. The original Liberty Bell was made in 1752 in London. That's another important fact that we can underline. And we can say that's part of its origin. It was made in 1752 in London. So that's part of the origin of the Liberty Bell. So that's all for today. Thanks for joining me, and we'll learn more next time. Thank you.